that basketball is in your hands. 3 seconds left on the clock, your team is down by 2 points. The crowd is silent, not the excited silence of anticipation, but the heavy silence of witnesses at an execution. Because that's what this is. You see the rim, you see the defender, but mostly you see the armed guard standing at the edge of the court, weapons trained on your team. You see the medical team waiting with sedation equipment. You see the families in the stands, some crying, some praying, some placing last-minute bets on whether you'll make this shot or die trying. The referee blows the whistle. Time resumes. You feel your heart slamming against your ribs. Your hands are slick with sweat that has nothing to do with exercise and everything to do with the biological certainty that if this ball doesn't go through that hoop, you will not leave this court alive. You shoot. The ball arcs through the air. Time stretches. You watch it spin, tumbling through space toward a piece of metal that now determines whether you breathe tomorrow. The crowd inhales as one organism. The ball touches the rim, bounces, circles, falls away. You missed. The buzzer sounds. The guards move forward. Your teammates collapse. Someone is screaming. The crowd erupts, half in celebration, half in horror. You feel hands on your shoulders, cold metal against your wrists. This is how it ends. Not in war, not an accident, in a game that was supposed to be entertainment. I am the simulator. I'm here to show you what happens when competition stops being recreation and becomes the ultimate survival mechanism, when every match is a trial, every game is a judgment, every loss is a death sentence. This is about what happens to humanity when play becomes warfare, when sport becomes religion, when winning is the only thing that keeps your heart beating. Here's your question. If your life depended on a game you weren't prepared to play, what would you become to survive? Drop your answer in the comments. Subscribe if you want to explore the worlds your mind is not prepared to face, because some simulations show you futures worse than any nightmare. It started as a solution to overpopulation. That's what they told you in the history modules. The world had too many people, too few resources, and traditional methods of population control, birth limits, migration restrictions, resource rationing had failed. Wars were too destructive. Pandemics too unpredictable. Genocide too morally repugnant for modern society to stomach openly, so they found a different way. Sports had always been a substitute for warfare. Tribal competition channeled into harmless ritual. Aggression domesticated into entertainment. But someone in a government think tank asked a question that changed everything. What if we stopped pretending sports were harmless? What if we made them matter the way war matters? The legislation passed globally within 18 months. The Global Athletic Survival Initiative. Every professional sport would now carry lethal stakes. Losing teams in football, basketball, baseball, execution or exile. Losing fighters in MMA, boxing, immediate termination. Losing drivers in Formula 1, no rescue from the wreckage. The justification was elegant, almost philosophical. Humanity had always sorted itself through competition. Now that sorting would simply be more efficient. The strongest survive, the fastest endure, the most skilled thrive. Natural selection accelerated through athletic performance. Within 5 years, sports became the infrastructure of civilization. The justice system converted entirely to trial by combat. Accused of a crime, you don't get a lawyer, you get a sport assignment. Murder trial, fight to the death, theft, 100-meter sprint where last place gets permanent exile. Corporate disputes settled in boardroom chess matches where checkmate means liquidation, not of assets but of the CEO. The economy restructured around athletic outcomes. Betting markets became larger than stock exchanges. Entire currencies backed not by gold or GDP, but by the performance records of champion athletes. Nations rose and fell based on Olympic results. Lose the World Cup, your country loses voting rights in the Global Council for a decade. Entertainment merged completely with survival. The stadiums were always full because attendance was mandatory for certain citizenship tiers. You watch or you risk being selected to play. The broadcasts were unavoidable, projected onto every screen, every surface, every pair of mandatory neural interface glasses. The athletes became gods. Literally. New religions formed around championship-winning teams. Saints canonized for perfect seasons. Martyrs created from legendary losses. Children baptized in the names of their nation's greatest survivors. The faithful praying not to traditional deities but to the statistical probability of victory. The simulator observes humans evolved for competition, but not for unending lethal competition. The brain's reward systems are designed to handle occasional high-stakes conflicts, not constant existential athletic trials. What you're about to experience is what happens when the nervous system is forced into permanent survival mode, where every game activates the same neurological pathways as escaping a predator. The spectators transformed to crowds, no longer cheered for entertainment, they bayed for blood with religious fervor. Every match became a gladiatorial sacrifice. Every loss a public execution that reminded the masses of their own mortality, their own potential selection. The gambling addicts weren't just betting money, they were betting survival rations, citizenship status, the lives of their own family members. Parents trained children from birth, not for joy, not for health, for survival. 5-year-olds drilling layups with the knowledge that their first official game at age 12 would determine if they lived to 13. Schools became athletic boot camps. Weak children disappeared, reassigned to labor sectors where they would never have to compete but would also never have autonomy, family, or hope. You grew up in this world. You remember when you first understood what it meant. You were 7. Your older brother lost a youth soccer match. They didn't execute him, he was too young, the law said. Instead, they performed what they called neurological restructuring. They took his memories, his personality, his sense of self. He came home different, empty, a hollow thing wearing your brother's face, optimized for labor, stripped of everything that made him human. That's when you started training. Not because you loved sports, because you loved being alive. The notification arrives on your 23rd birthday. You've been selected, not for a trial, you haven't committed any crime. Selected randomly, because the system requires constant turnover, constant spectacle, constant sacrifice to maintain the psychological pressure that keeps society compliant. You're assigned to a basketball tournament, 3-on-3 single elimination, 4 teams. The losing team of each match faces categorical termination. You don't know your teammates. You meet them in the holding area beneath the arena. One is a middle-aged accountant who hasn't played basketball since high school. One is a teenage girl who's crying so hard she can't speak. You're the only one who's maintained any athletic ability, and even that is marginal. You're not a professional. You're not even good. You're just alive. The arena is massive, 50,000 people in the stands, cameras everywhere. You can feel the weight of millions watching through neural feeds. The court is regulation size, but the baskets look impossibly high, impossibly far. The ball feels wrong in your hands, too heavy, too real, too connected to your continued existence. Your first opponents are younger, faster, better. They move with the precision of people who've trained for this their entire lives. You realize immediately, they volunteered. Some people compete willingly, believing they can win, craving the glory, the godhood that comes with survival. The game begins. Your body moves on autopilot. Fear sharpens everything. You see trajectories you've never seen before. You feel your muscles responding with desperate strength. The accountant is terrible every possession he touches the ball. You lose ground. The teenager is frozen, barely moving. Everything falls on you. You score, your opponents score. The crowd is screaming, but you can't hear words, just noise waves of sound that feel like physical pressure. You see the guards, you see the medical team, you see the countdown clock. Time is running out. You're down by 4 points. The accountant gets the ball stolen, your opponents score again. 6 points, the teenager falls, hyperventilating. The referee doesn't stop play. If you can't continue, that's forfeiture. Automatic termination. You pick her up, you drag her across the court. You're playing 2-on-3 now because the accountant has given up, curled in a ball at half court sobbing. You make a shot. 4 points down, your opponent scores. 6 again. 30 seconds left. You steal the ball. You drive, you score. 4 points, 15 seconds. You steal again, they're getting cocky, showing off for the crowd. You pass to the teenager. She's so shocked, she catches it. She shoots from muscle memory, from thousands of hours of practice before she knew what it meant. The ball goes in. 2 points down. 5 seconds. You grab the inbound. You run. No time to pass. You shoot from half court as the buzzer sounds. The ball flies, everything stops. It misses. The crowd erupts. Your opponents celebrate. The guards move toward your team. The accountant is screaming. The teenager has fainted. You're standing there watching the guards approach, feeling the knowledge settle into your bones. This is how you die. Then the referee raises a hand. Replay review. The cameras show your shot released 1/10 of a second before the buzzer. It counts as an attempt, but it missed. The review confirms. You lost. Except the teenager's shot was made during an uncalled foul. The referee reviews, debates. The crowd is screaming for blood, for clarity, for resolution. Finally, the foul is called. She gets 2 free throws. If she makes both, you tie. Overtime, if she misses, you die. She can barely stand. They have to hold her up to the line. She shoots. The ball hits the front rim, bounces straight up, comes down through the net. 1 point. The crowd is insane. The neural feeds are crashing from the collective emotional surge of millions. She shoots again. You watch the ball. You're not breathing. The ball spins. Hits the back rim, bounces up, circles. Circles, falls away. You lost. The guards take the accountant first. He doesn't resist. He's beyond resistance. They sedate him. He'll wake up in a reassignment center. Memories erased. Identity destroyed. Functionally dead. They take the teenager next. She's conscious but catatonic. They're gentle with her because she's young. She'll get the same treatment. Gone. They reach for you. You feel hands on your arms. You hear yourself talking, begging, negotiating, as if words could matter now. As if anything matters when you've lost the only game that counts. Then a voice over the loudspeaker. Competitor 3-47. You have been selected for alternative resolution. The guards stop. The crowd goes quiet. Alternative resolution is rare. It means someone with power, someone watching, has purchased your life, not freedom. Just another chance, another game, another day of survival. You don't feel relief. You feel the exhaustion of knowing this will never end. Alternative resolution means you're valuable to someone. A corporation bought your contract. You're now a corporate athlete, competing in industrial league matches where the stakes are market share and the cost of losing is asset liquidation, which means you. But the system has evolved. It's no longer enough to compete in traditional sports. Society has fragmented into constant competition. Disputes between neighbors settled by badminton matches in the street. Job promotions determined by arm wrestling tournaments. Marriages dissolved through ping pong. Every conflict, every decision, every human interaction now channeled through athletic confrontation. The elderly are no longer exempt. At 65, you're automatically entered into senior leagues. Lose, and you're euthanized as a resource drain. Children start competitive selection at age 8. Entire families compete together in relay races where the slowest family member gets reassigned. You see it everywhere now. The grocery store has competition zones. If two people want the same item, they play rock, paper, scissors, best of 5. Loser leaves empty-handed and receives a deduction in their citizenship score. Traffic disputes settled by 100-meter dashes on the shoulder of the highway. Disagreements at work resolved through arm wrestling push-up contests. Mental agility games projected onto conference room walls. Nations have abandoned conventional warfare entirely. World conflicts now resolved through championship matches. Territorial disputes settled by national teams fighting to the death in specially constructed arenas. You watch on the mandatory feeds as entire populations are enslaved because their country lost the global decathlon. Religious movements have splintered into athletic cults. The Church of the Perfect Game worships athletes who've never lost. The martyrs of competition venerate those who died beautifully in defeat. The Ascension League believes that dying in athletic competition is the only way to reach the afterlife. Children are sacrificed willingly by their own families, sent into matches they cannot win as offerings to the gods of survival. The betting markets have become the real global power. Entire economies rise and fall based on single matches. Corporations, governments, criminal organizations, all placing massive wagers on human performance. Lives are currency. Deaths are profit margins. You are inventory. Then you're selected for something new. The Chaos Games, a tournament where the rules change mid-match. You start playing basketball. 10 minutes in, the court becomes a swimming pool. 20 minutes, it's a climbing wall. 30 minutes, hand-to-hand combat. The sport shifts unpredictably, testing not skill in any one discipline, but pure adaptability, pure desperation, pure survival instinct. You're matched against 7 others. Only one survives. The others face categorical termination, complete death. No neurological reassignment. No alternative resolution. Permanent erasure. The game begins. You're playing tennis. The ball comes at you like a bullet. You return it. The court transforms now. You're on ice. Skates materializing on your feet. You slip, recover, keep moving. The opponent across from you falls, doesn't get up. The guards drag her away. She's eliminated. Now it's track. You're running. 2 competitors are faster. You push harder. Your lungs are screaming. The slower ones fall behind. You hear shots. They're terminated mid-race to motivate the rest of you. The track becomes a rock climbing wall. You're halfway up when your grip fails. You fall, you catch yourself on a lower hold. Your fingers are bleeding. Someone above you loses their grip. They fall past you. You hear the impact. You don't look down. The wall becomes a fighting pit. No rules, no referee. 3 of you left. You've never fought before. The others have. You take a hit to the face. Your vision blurs. You taste blood. Survival instinct kicks in, not skill, just animal desperation. You grab, you claw, you bite, you do things you didn't know you were capable of. One opponent goes down. The guards remove them. Just you and one other now. The arena transforms one final time. Chess, a giant board. You and your opponent on opposite sides. Every move you make, you have to physically run to the piece and move it. Wrong move, you're eliminated. Checkmate means survival. You don't know chess strategy. You're just moving pieces, hoping, praying, trying to remember half-forgotten rules from childhood. Your opponent is methodical. Trained, you're losing. Then you see it. Not a winning move. A move that might delay defeat. You take it, your opponent responds. Another move, another response. The game drags on. You're exhausting them. They're making mistakes. You're making more mistakes, but you're unpredictable because you're incompetent. Your randomness becomes your advantage. Finally, impossibly, you see checkmate. Not for you, for them. They've boxed themselves in trying to box you in. You make the move. The referee confirms it. You won. Your opponent collapses. Not from injury. From the knowledge of what comes next. The guards approach. They're not gentle. There's no audience sentiment for losers. They administer the termination injection. You watch a human being die 3 meters away from you because they lost a game. You survived, but you realize, standing there watching the body removed, that survival is temporary. Eventually everyone loses. The math is simple. You can't win forever. Sooner or later you'll face someone faster, stronger, smarter, luckier, and then you'll be the one receiving the injection. They make you play again the next week. And the week after. You're valuable, now a champion, a survivor, a commodity worth keeping alive as long as you keep winning. But you don't sleep anymore. Every time you close your eyes, you see the teenager's face when she missed that free throw. You see your opponent bleeding on the climbing wall. You see the chess player's expression when they realize they'd lost. You don't feel joy when you win. You don't feel relief. You feel nothing. Your nervous system has been so overwhelmed by constant survival pressure that it's shut down. You're becoming a machine optimized for performance, stripped of humanity. Your next match begins. You're standing on a court. The crowd is screaming. The guards are watching. The ball is in your hands. But this time you realize this is unlivable. Not because you might lose, because even winning is a form of death. Humans are not built for constant lethal competition. Sports were meaningful precisely because they weren't life or death. They were simulations of conflict where losing didn't destroy you. That's what made them beautiful. That's what made them human. This world destroyed that. When every game is survival, no game is truly won. When every match is execution, there are no champions, only temporary survivors waiting for their inevitable termination. The whistle blows. The game begins. Whether you win this match or lose, it doesn't matter. You've already lost the moment competition became mandatory, the moment play became warfare, the moment survival became performance. If humanity is defined by our ability to create meaning beyond survival, what happens when survival becomes the only meaning we're allowed? Drop your answer in the comments. If this simulation made you rethink what competition means, what society costs when it gamifies survival, what humanity loses when play becomes compulsory, leave a like and subscribe. Now go watch the previous simulation. What if you could see how rich you'd be if you never procrastinated? It shows you a different kind of survival game, one you're already playing. Welcome to the simulator, where the games you play reveal the worlds you create.